Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the most powerful and important films ever made. Steven Spielberg's 1993 masterpiece, Schindler's List. This isn't just a movie. It's a historical document, a testament to the human spirit, and a harrowing look into one of history's darkest chapters. The story begins in 1939 in Krakow, Poland, as the German army defeats the Polish forces. We are introduced to Oskar Schindler, a suave, charismatic, and incredibly ambitious German businessman. He's a member of the Nazi Party, but his motivations are purely opportunistic. He sees the war not as an ideological crusade, but as a golden opportunity to make his fortune. Schindler arrives in the city with a suitcase full of cash and a plan. He quickly ingratiates himself with high-ranking Nazi officials, schmoozing them with lavish gifts, fine liquor, and parties. His goal is simple: to acquire a factory and use cheap Jewish labor to produce enamelware for the German military. He sets his sights on a bankrupt factory and, with his charm and connections, secures the necessary permits and funding. To run the day-to-day operations, he needs someone with business acumen and connections within the Jewish community. This leads him to Itzhak Stern, a calm, principled Jewish official working in the local Jewish council, or Judenrat. Stern is initially wary of Schindler, seeing him as just another war profiteer exploiting his people's tragic situation. Despite his reservations, Stern recognizes an opportunity. He begins to compile lists of Jewish workers for Schindler's factory, strategically including people who might not be considered essential by the Nazis' academics. Musicians, the elderly, thereby saving them from being sent to concentration camps. For Schindler, it's about cheap labor. For Stern, it's about survival. As Schindler's factory, the Deutsche Emailwarenfabrik, or DEF, thrives, so does his wealth. He lives a life of luxury, completely detached from the escalating horrors faced by the Jewish population of Krakow. They are forced from their homes, herded into the cramped and squalid conditions of the Krakow ghetto. Schindler witnesses this, but at first, it seems to have little effect on him. He's more concerned with protecting his investment, his workforce. He argues with Nazi officials, bribes them, and uses his influence to keep his workers out of the hands of the SS. From a purely business perspective, losing his skilled laborers is bad for production. The turning point in the film, and for Schindler himself, comes with the liquidation of the Krakow ghetto in ytshorts. From a hillside overlooking the city, Schindler and his mistress watch the brutal and chaotic operation unfold. SS soldiers storm the ghetto, shooting people indiscriminately, dragging families from their hiding places. Amidst the monochrome black and white chaos, Spielberg uses a powerful cinematic device: a little girl in a bright red coat. Schindler's eyes follow her as she wanders through the carnage, a symbol of lost innocence and the sheer scale of the atrocity. He sees her hide, and later, he sees her small body on a cart of corpses. This moment shatters his cynical detachment. The horror is no longer an abstract concept. It is real, personal, and undeniable. His motivation begins to shift from profit to humanity. The remaining Jews of Krakow are sent to the Plazow concentration camp, run by the sadistic and unpredictable SS commandant Amon Goeth. Goeth is the embodiment of pure evil. He takes pleasure in cruelty, shooting prisoners from the balcony of his villa for sport. He is Schindler's dark mirror man who also enjoys the power and spoils of the war, but who uses it for destruction rather than, eventually, for preservation. Schindler must now navigate a dangerous relationship with Goeth, continuing to bribe and flatter him to protect his workers who are now prisoners in Plazow. The stakes are higher than ever. Every interaction is a tightrope walk over an abyss. As the tide of the war turns against Germany and the final solution accelerates, Schindler realizes that his factory is the only thing standing between his workers and the gas chambers of Auschwitz. He decides to take an extraordinary risk. He petitions Goeth to allow him to move his factory and his workers to his hometown of Brunlitz in Czechoslovakia, under the guise of producing munitions for the war effort. This is a monumental undertaking, and it will cost him his entire fortune. Together with Stern, Schindler begins compiling the list that gives the film its name. This is no longer a list of cheap laborers, it's a list of lives. Each name typed onto the page represents a person he will save. He spends every penny he has bribing officials, paying for each and every person on that list. It's a frantic, desperate race against time. There are heartbreaking moments, like when the train carrying the women and children is mistakenly diverted to Auschwitz. Schindler has to rush there, using diamonds to bribe the camp commandant to release them, literally buying them back from the jaws of death. Finally, the Schindler-Juden, or Schindler's Jews, arrive at the new factory in Brunlitz. For the next 7 months, they are safe. Schindler intentionally sabotages the factory's production. Not a single functioning artillery shell is ever made. He's no longer a war profiteer. He's a savior, running a sanctuary disguised as a factory. When the war finally ends, Schindler gathers his workers. As a Nazi party member and a profiteer of slave labor, he must flee. His workers present him with a ring they've secretly made, inscribed with a Talmudic verse, "Whoever saves one life saves the world entire." Overwhelmed with emotion, Schindler breaks down. He looks at his car, his possessions, and laments that he could have sold them to save just a few more people. This powerful scene shows his complete transformation from a self-serving opportunist to a man crushed by the weight of what he couldn't do. The film's final scene is one of the most moving in cinema history. It transitions to color and the present day. The actual surviving Schindler-Juden, now elderly, along with the actors who portrayed them, walk to Oskar Schindler's grave in Jerusalem to place a stone on it, a Jewish tradition of remembrance. It's a stunning, heart-wrenching confirmation that this incredible story is true. Over 1,100 people were saved by the efforts of this one complicated, flawed, and ultimately heroic man. Schindler's List is a difficult film to watch, but it is an essential one. It reminds us of the depths of human cruelty, but also of the heights of compassion and courage. It shows that even in the darkest of times, one person can make a difference. It's a story of redemption, a memorial to the millions who were lost, and a celebration of the lives that were saved. Thank you for joining me for this look back at a cinematic landmark. If you haven't seen it, I urge you to. And if you have, it's a story that's always worth remembering. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of film. Thanks for watching.